Am I the asshole for telling my son's mom that he's staying with me while he recovers? My 9-year-old son needed hip bone osteoma surgery and his mom and I scheduled it before his 3-week winter break. My ex and I share 50-50, but I get him on winter breaks so she could take him out of state to see her family in the summer. The day before the surgery she asked me if Rai could stay at her place to recover from the surgery. I asked her why and all she said was that she just wanted to be there. I said no. Rai has never had surgery and it's a big deal for him. I don't want him to think that the first thing when you face something scary is run to your mom and not your dad. I told her I was quite insulted by her request. Plus he was going to need help getting dressed, undressed and bathed for the first couple of days and I highly doubt that he'd be comfortable having his mom do that. She said her husband could do that. I told her no. He's having the surgery and I'm taking him to my house when he's released. I don't care if she's in the operating room. She then asked if she could see him at my place and I said no. The agreement is that we have scheduled FaceTime with him when he's at the other parent's house. I don't want my ex-wife in my home any more than she wants me in hers. If the shoe was on the other foot then I'd understand whether I liked it or not. I held firm and things have been tense between us ever since. Personally I don't care because I'm not apologizing for not giving her what she wanted. Edit. No. My son doesn't get to decide who he gets to stay with and when and for how long. That's why there are custody agreements. You are the asshole. She's concerned about her son and you turned it into a power play. You are the asshole. You're thinking of yourself and not your kid. It's your time to have him, so taking him back to your place makes sense, but not letting his mother come to visit him in person is a shitty thing to do. And the argument, I have a penis so only I can help my son bathe and get dressed, is BS. Your ex is his mother. I'm ready to bet he wouldn't have an issue with it. Grow up. You are the asshole. All this, what I want, and not giving her what she wanted. The surgery is not about you or your ex-wife. It's about your son. Do either of you know what he wants? Will he want to see her while he recovers? Why can't you work together to make this the best experience possible for him? You had me right up until you refused to let her visit. Think what you want about your ex. Your kid's health is the wrong place for this kind of flex. You are the asshole. Would I be the asshole if I refused to give back my neighbor's cat? So my parents for my birthday got me a kitten. I adored this kitten, he was like my best friend, followed me everywhere I went and always slept on my pillow next to my face. My mom has this friend that lives 2 streets over, she and her daughter comes over a lot. The girl has autism, but that's irrelevant why I don't like her. Now back to my cat. When the temps are cool at night we open our back doors which leads to a big screened-in patio. O'Malley, the cat, loved that room. It was his outdoorsy time to get fresh air. Late one evening, O'Malley vanished. We were baffled. There were no holes in the screen, nowhere he could have gotten out. Regardless, we spent weeks looking for him. I completely broke down one day, realizing he's gone forever. I felt like I mourned him. Fast forward a few months, my dad and I are coming home one evening. We drove past a lost cat sign and both of us freaked. It looked significant other much like Thomas O'Malley, just a bit older version of him. My dad wrote the number down, thinking maybe he'd call. Out of curiosity he looks up the number to find out. It's the friend of my mother that lives 2 streets over. My dad and I decided to go start looking for him again. Nothing. Then a few nights later I hear a faint meow coming from the backyard. It was O'Malley. I was so happy I was crying. He was so happy he was vibrating because he was purring so loud. I thought it was a happy ending. I had my best buddy back that I never thought I'd see again. I so missed him, he went right back to sleeping on my pillow with me. That was until my mother decided to allow the mother cat thief and her demon spawn into our house. Thomas O'Malley saw them and ran off. I went after him, took him in my room and barricaded us in there. An argument pursued, then it stopped. My mom came to my door and said we have to give him back. Nope, ain't no way in hell. I was prepared to find out if Amazon could drone deliver us food to my window before I ever opened that door again. Cat nappers called the cops. My dad produced adoption paperwork with his microchip that is still registered to us. They produced recent pics of O'Malley with vet records. The cop said it's a civil matter, take it to the courthouse. They're claiming O'Malley is the autistic girl's ESA, and that they found him in the woods. Lies. My mom does not want this escalating to the court and says I need to give O'Malley back. She said I need to consider the girl's disability and the fact they had O'Malley longer than I did, barely. Like, let's just ignore the fact they stole him. My dad says it's my decision and he'll support me in whatever I decide, but then also said behind mother's back to F them people. I don't want to give him back, it's not fair, he is my cat. He doesn't even like them, and plus they named him Fufu. Like, just no. Do not give them the cat. YWNBTA. Not the asshole. It's not even about you, or that girl. The cat chose you. The cat fled her. Nuff said. Cats are emotionally capable animals just like us. If your mom can't respect a conscious being's choice, she's the asshole. Not the asshole. Send them to the animal shelter to get a new cat. Tell them otherwise, you will take them to court and ask for a bench trial where the judge will take one look at the microchip evidence and award you the cat and attorney costs. Am I the asshole for not making my brother and his fiancée a wedding cake after they refused to pay me? I, 25F, love to bake. It's a big passion of mine and something I love to do as a hobby in my free time. I have an Instagram account that I use to show off my work, which is mainly the cakes I bake and decorate. I make these cakes for family and friends for birthdays or specials occasions, Christmas, Easter, etc. I never charge for these cakes, but am always compensated in some way by my family and friends. They'll usually gift me money or a gift card to my favorite restaurants, or make me a dish in return as a thank you. My younger brother, 23M, and his fiancée, 23F, were planning their wedding and asked me a few months in advance if I'd be able to make their cake for them. This would be my biggest order yet. They wanted a 3-layer cake. Wedding was 75 people, in the flavor of strawberry shortcake as it's their favorite. I was hesitant at first but agreed to make the cake, under the condition that I was compensated for it. I explained to them that this was the biggest order I've never had, and was going to take up a lot of my time, labor, and be costly. I gave them a very fair price for a cake of that caliber. They agreed. I also made it clear that I wanted to be paid before the wedding. I provided them multiple sketches of what the cake would look like. Made a practice batch of the actually cake so that they could sample, and they loved the cake and approved of everything. Fast forward to last week, 6 days before the wedding. I contacted my brother for my payment as I was going to get started on buying the rest of the ingredients for the cake. Minus the strawberries, I was going to do that closer to the date so they could be fresh. He ensured me he'd drop off my check the next day. Next day came. Brother went Mia and no check arrived, so I tried to contact him again. Next day came, no check again. I offered to drive to their house and pick up the check. They made an excuse that didn't work with their schedules. So the day before the wedding I contacted both my brother and his fiancée asking again. They blew up on me telling me that I'm a selfish BTCH for charging them when I don't charge the rest of the family and that they refused to pay, but demanded me to make the cake. I said no, and explained my terms again. They called me a selfish asshole and said I'd better make the damn cake. I again said no. So the day of the wedding I decided not to attend, due to the amount of disrespect they showed me. Well, my brother, his fiancée and her family are now blowing up my phone sending me all kinds of nasty messages. My family are trying to stay out of it, but don't think I should have screwed them like that. Am I the asshole for not making the cake after they refused to pay me? Info. I was charging them $400. They knew exactly what they were doing. For anyone who is giving you a hard time about it, tell them, you're certainly welcome to make a free wedding cake for them. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. And for a 25-yo woman, you have a remarkably good ability to set and enforce a boundary and not be guilted into doing things. I think many people in your situation would have made the cake out of a sense of guilt and then just been resentful afterwards for being out all the time and money. Then they'd be posting here wondering if they're the asshole for being mad and asking for the money over and over after the fact. Your way or the other way, people would be mad. Because they're entitled users. You shut it down on the front end. Well done. Am I the asshole for disinviting my late wife's children from my wedding? About a year ago, my wife, Anna, 60F, of 25 years passed away, 8 months after being diagnosed with cancer. Besides our 25-year-old son, Andrew, she also had 3 other children, Allison 42F, Barbara 40F, Caleb 39M, from a prior marriage. Their father was never really around, so I, 52M, have raised them as my own basically ever since I married their mom. Anna's cancer was very difficult for me financially, and I wound up having to downgrade my car to pay for medical bills, and make withdrawals from my 401k, and take on a lot of debt. Shortly after Anna died, I met another woman, Beth, 49F, who I have since married. Given that we're living together in Beth's house, selling Anna's house made a lot of sense. When we were packing up the house, I asked Anna's kids if they wanted anything, and they said they didn't. I invested a large amount of money renovating the house and getting it ready to sell, and eventually found a house flipping company that would take it on. On the day of the closing, I was surprised to find out that Allison had sent an email to the lending company, telling them that she had been reading up on state law, and that since Anna's kids weren't mine, they were entitled to the portion she would have gotten from the sale. Turns out she was right. I feel like Anna's children deliberately chose to kneecap me, but they're insistent that Allison didn't know what was going on and was just asking questions. I should have been able to take the money Anna and I had saved up and start a new life, but now I'm probably going to have to sell the new motorcycle I just bought and have long wanted, and I'm not going to be able to get myself out of debt. This was supposed to be a fresh start for me, and now I'm stuck with the same old problems I've always had. The day of the eventual closing I was still extremely upset, so when I woke up for work, I texted Allison, Barbara, and Caleb and let them know that I'd also been doing my own reading about our state's laws, and it turns out I'm not actually their father, and they should work on their relationship with the person who actually is. I also told them they were no longer welcome at my wedding, which was the next weekend. Upon finding out I had said that, Andrew was extremely upset with me. We met for lunch the following day, and I asked him to be my best man, but he told me that unless I apologized to his siblings, he didn't want to attend my wedding. I was hoping he'd get over it, but he hasn't talked to me since, saying that he's too old to be a 25-year-old child of divorce, and that he was offended that I got married the weekend after the anniversary of his mom's funeral. To me, that date isn't particularly meaningful since the date that weighs on my heart is the one that she actually died. Beth thinks I should just swallow my pride and apologize so that Andrew will talk to me again, but I can't help but feel hard done by here. Wow, you are the asshole a million times over. You are so petty for telling them you aren't their father anymore when you raised them. They were entitled to that money just as you are, and it doesn't sound like they tried to do it maliciously. Nice job ruining those relationships for the rest of your life. I hope you come to thoroughly regret it. Are you kidding me? You basically tried to disinherit your deceased wife's kids and then want to know if you're the asshole for disinviting them to a wedding and telling the kids that you raised that you aren't their real father? Yes, you are the asshole. But you're the even bigger asshole for trying to disinherit them. Do you actually think that's what your late wife would have wanted? You are the asshole?